just had a cultural studies seminar today that seems to be talking about like exactly the same things, although it's much more interesting watching them spoken about on YouTube. The lecturer used Colombia as an example because it's a country that has like an indigenous population, and a black population and a Hispanic population, but like most people are sort of all mixed together because of the history of the country. And so apparently Colombia always says, well, we can't be racist because we're a mixed society, but they all have like a, you're still able to like categorize them all. And they all got like obsessed with categorizing each other. He said it's different from America. In North America, like you're either white or you're not, because that comes from from this, from the history of slavery and wanting to keep everyone separate. So you weren't even allowed to have like one drop of black blood, or you were tainted. So in Colombia, though, everyone's all mixed together, and you've got this sort of ranking depending on how white you are and the lightness of your skin. One of the little stories that he told us was about a bus of people like going to their work or whatever, and a black man came on the bus and robbed the driver, and then like ran off. And the bus driver turned around to the passengers, and there was two black women in passengers, and he said, "Right, you get off the bus." And all the other passengers agreed. They were all like, "Yeah, we need to get to work, get off the bus." And so these two innocent women were penalised for what this guy had done, just because in the eyes of other people they were the same. He says that in Colombia they use a lot of like derogatory names for people depending on their skin colour. And the lecturer himself, when he was in Colombia, was interviewing a black mechanic, and he was asking him how he felt about being called Negro. And right at that moment, apparently some guy walked past the garage and shouted, "Hola, Negro!" And he said that it mattered how they said it. Sometimes it was meant friendly and you took it that way, and sometimes it was meant, hostility. And it reminds me a little bit, obviously not at all on the same par, but that whole thing about how it was said, it reminded me of how some white people or foreigners even in Japan have complained about being called gaijin, and they say that they don't mind so much when they're called gaijin-san because it's more respectful. It's just your title, whereas just flat out gaijin they find offensive. The other thing I have begun to wonder with all the white people who complain about their treatment in Japan is it not just that they're white and so there's no other country where they're ever treated badly? Like everybody else with different skin colours in lots of different countries get treated really, really badly, like, ways that human beings shouldn't have to be treated. And it's just that white people normally have never had to experience that. They've always been on the giving end of that. And so as a white person, when you go to Japan, this little bit of prejudice, you've never encountered prejudice before, like this sort of, it's dehumanizing, I know, and obviously it's not something you should be able to deal with, but I think that's why it's so difficult for white people in Japan, because they've just never encountered it before, whereas people of different skin colours, if that's okay to say, have had to deal with it.